Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and welcome to July 2019's Q&A video. If you have a question you'd like to see answered in one of these videos, please leave it in the comments below or watch for the monthly post I make on the Humblebee and Me Facebook page asking for questions for these videos. Our first question is from Chrissey, who's a patron, so thank you so much for your support, Chrissey. And she asked, how do you decide what order to do your skincare things in? What order do you apply different serums and creams and whatnot? So usually I start with an oil cleanser and then follow up with a foaming cleanser. After that, I do more watery things. So this would be things like a vitamin C serum, a hyaluronic acid serum, anything that's quite thin and watery. From there, I'll move on to emulsions, kind of mid-weight things. So things like creams or lotions would go at that stage. And this is usually getting towards the end of my skincare routine because the bulk of my routine is that lighter sort of gel and water-based serum area. And then our last stage will be heavier things, so more occlusive things, anhydrous products. So a oil serum would go there, or a facial balm, an anhydrous facial balm would go towards the end, and anything occlusive like a layer of Vaseline, for instance, would go right at the end, and that would be more of a nighttime thing. Or if you had a sleeping pack, a sleeping mask, that would go at the very end. This isn't really an exact science though. Lab Muffin has a fabulous article on layering skincare and sort of the order of products and whatnot, and I'll link to that in the description box below because it's definitely worth a read. Up next, Belinda, who is also a patron, so thank you so much for your support, Belinda. She wanted to know if when I use a syringe to fill a container, which you might have seen me do, I often use a large syringe to fill squeezy bottles and tubes. She wanted to know if I wash them and reuse them or if I recycle them after one use. And so I do wash them and reuse them, and the ability to wash and reuse them is a very big part of the reason why I choose to use syringes over something like a piping or icing bag. The syringes that I have are really very sturdy and they stand up to being washed many times. A couple of the ones that I've had for probably at least 2 years and have been used probably at least once or twice a month in that period of time, and carefully and thoroughly washed and allowed to dry and then happily reused. So I'm able to reduce the amount of plastic that I use because this hobby does tend to consume quite a lot of plastic. And I did a video on that, which I will link to in the description box below as well. Anne had a great question about ingredient sourcing. So she was looking at the challenges between selecting ingredients that are more price-friendly, cheaper, less expensive ingredients, or ingredients that are perhaps organic or Ecocert certified. Her general question was, how do you choose, and what do I personally prioritize when I am looking at purchasing ingredients and creating formulations? So generally speaking, this is going to be a very personal decision. And it's going to come down to sort of your ethos, or if you have a brand, the ethos of your brand, its philosophy, what is important to you / your brand. Personally, when I'm shopping for ingredients, I usually try to choose the more affordable option. Part of this is because I just like things to be more affordable, and I'm not entirely convinced of the benefits of organic products in skincare. Another thing is that I'm trying to keep the projects that I share relatively accessible. I know that they aren't all super inexpensive products to make, but I do try not to use super expensive ingredients all the time so that I'm keeping things accessible for you guys. Now, a lovely thing about making your own skincare formulations is that it is completely up to you what you want to use. And so if things being natural or organic is very important to you, it's typically going to be more affordable on a per product, per unit basis to be making that yourself than to be purchasing it from the store. But yeah, this is a very personal thing. It's a bit like being vegetarian or vegan. It very much is, it's personal. What do you care about? Where are your values? What is important to you? And if you are selling, what's important to your customers and what's important to your brand? So a very personal question, but a really good one and a great one to think about. Emili had a bit of a multifaceted question about soaps, shower gels, hand washes, kind of what's going on there. And so a soap is always going to be oils combined with a lye, so potassium or sodium hydroxide, to be saponified, and that creates soap. So that's what soap is. Everything else, the body wash, shower gel, that kind of thing, if you are making a thing that will wash a body or hands, you can call it body wash or hand wash, and it could be a soap product, so made with saponified oils, or it could be a syndet product, so made with synthetic detergents, so things like sodium cocoa isethionate, sodium cocoa sulfate, cocamidopropyl betaine, cocoa glucoside, those sorts of things. If you're looking at a store-bought product and you want to know kind of what you're dealing with, take a look at the ingredients. If the ingredients are saponified oils, so this will be things like sodium tallowate, which is tallow that has been saponified using sodium hydroxide, or potassium cocoate, and that would be coconut oil that has been saponified using potassium hydroxide, you're looking at a soap. You may also see these ingredients listed as the starter oils, so things like tallow, coconut oil, olive oil, etc. And then you'll see sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, or perhaps a blend of the two of them, on the ingredient list as well, indicating that, you know, the oils have been saponified by that lye. If you see a bunch of surfactants on the list, then you are obviously dealing with a surfactant-powered product. There are also products out there that blend surfactants and soap bases. So the Dove Beauty Bar is a good example of this. It uses both soap ingredients and surfactant ingredients to create a blended product. So if you are trying to figure out what you're working with, make sure you are reading those ingredient lists so you can tell if it's soap, surfactant based, or perhaps a little bit of both. Our last question / discussion point came out of last month's Q&A video, in which I shared my current skincare routine. And so those questions kind of centered around two themes, one being some surprise around the fact that I don't make absolutely everything in my skincare routine, and then also wondering if, because I am using store-bought things, if that means that DIY skincare isn't going to be enough for everybody. If you'd like to see my skincare routine from that video, I will link to that in the description box below. So I guess the first thing to note is that the skincare routine that I shared in that video is very much the skincare routine I used that day. It has already changed. It's already not the same as it was a month ago. I do tend to swap out bits and pieces of my skincare routine so that I'm constantly trying new things. Not only am I testing new products that I'm hoping to share with you in the future, I recently introduced a new foaming cleanser that I'm excited to share with you if it continues to test as well as it has been. But I'm also trying store-bought products that seem novel and interesting. I want to experience them and understand how they work, see where they fit in a skincare routine, you know, not only read the ingredients list, but also experience the product, understand it, and really get to know it on a, you know, on my face kind of level. So when it comes to the is DIY enough for your skin thing, that really depends on what your skin needs and what you want to make. For instance, I find that my skin really thrives with a high strength alpha hydroxy acid peel every now and then. I'm definitely not going to be making that myself because the margin of error for giving myself a chemical burn is kind of intimidating. So I'm going to leave that one up to the pros. Then there are also things that just kind of fall into the can't be arsed category, or just kind of haven't got there yet, or whatever. So the vitamin C serum that I use and the niacinamide serum that I use from The Ordinary that I absolutely love, yeah, one day I'll probably make some things like that and possibly swap them out, but for now, I absolutely love those products. I'm having fun formulating other things, and I don't really see the need to change anything at the moment. I guess we can draw a bit of a food metaphor into this. Like, for instance, I really love croissants, but when I want a croissant, I will buy a croissant. It is the sort of thing that I could make at home, but I can't be arsed. So yeah, the general gist of it is my skincare routine changes all the time, but I do like to try new things for research and then also experiment and test things to share with you guys in the future. And when it comes to the is it enough question, that really depends on what your skin needs. And then of course for that final important step, sunscreen, that's definitely a thing that you should leave up to the pros. I wrote a big long blog post on that, and I will link to that in the description box below as well. All right, so that is it for July 2019's Q&A video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and make sure you are checking out the description box below for some helpful links and whatnot that's related to the stuff we talked about today. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. you.